And then one last story before we get out of here.
All right.
Due to the crime, we talked about this very early in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Due to the crime here in the Chicago area,
Right.
a lot of people are fleeing Chicago, especially people with money.
I can't believe it.
Yep. Chicago's rising gun violence and racial tensions are driving out the wealthy.
Yeah. See, that's racist. They should stay and deal with it.
Sure. Should ride it out.
Yeah, they should. They should have to.
Sure.
Sure. I'm sure the president has something to say
Like,
about
where
this.
are you going? You're not taking your money and leaving.
Yeah, no. You're going to stay here and potentially be killed.
Right. The terrible toll of gun deaths in America has tormented the presidency of Barack Obama, unable to even moderately curtail the absolute right of gun ownership so entrenched in America's political DNA.
Oh, so it's the gun owners' problem.
It's the gun owners.
The gun owners' problem, even though none of them are the ones that are doing these shootings.
No.
It's all illegal guns, but it's the lawful guys that are the problem.
Sure. Now the media's scrutiny of the issue has turned to the city where Obama first forged his political reputation, Chicago, where gun crime, poverty, racial tensions, and policing have fused into a nightmarish version of parts of America's second city.
What's the mayor's political affiliation?
Yeah, it's Rahm-Emmanuel, former White House chief of staff.
And he is a
Democrat.
And the guy before him was a
Democrat.
And the city went to shit during his time, right?
Well, it was on its way out. That's why he left.
So he let it go, and the next guy made it worse.
Yeah.
And it's all Democratic.
Mm-hmm.
And our president comes from there.
Mm-hmm.
He learned how to run a country from there.
Yeah.
And now we're completely fucked.
Right.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. It's all the gun owners' fault.
Sure. Police statistics clearly show this. From January to the end of March, there were 677 shootings, a staggering 88.5 increase from the 359 over the same period in 2015.
Right.
So it almost, it almost doubled. Levels of violent crimes are also up, and the first quarter of this year saw 141 murders across the city.
Okay.
In the first quarter. More than Los Angeles and New York City put together. Mm-hmm. And a 72% rise compared with 2015.
Right.
Arthur Lurigo was born and bred in the city and is a professor of the criminal justice and psychology at Loyola University. He told IBT Times UK that such a spike in violence left him both surprised and alarmed. Wow. Sometime in the first quarter is a harbinger of what is to come, he said. The homicides are concentrated in areas of integrational poverty, disenfranchisement, disinvestment, very high school dropout rates, and there are extremely active gun factions.
Wow.
But his view is the seeds of segregation were sown decades ago, not recently. Riots in the 1960s led to a swath of the cities known as the West Side being burned down, and since then there has been little reinvestment in those communities.
Mm-hmm.
Just about everywhere that there has ever been racial violence and burning down, nobody's ever gone back in there and rebuilt it.
No? Ferguson's not a booming community?
No. Look at Watts in Los Angeles.
Watts is not a booming area?
No. After the Watts riots of the 60s, nobody came back in there and reinvested and rebuilt the place.
Everybody takes their money and says, fuck you, pal.
I'm out of here.
Goodbye.
Isn't that the same thing we were just talking about a tenant or a landlord?
Mm-hmm.
Having his investment protected.
Right.
And if there's a high probability that your investment is not going to be protected, you're not going to say, I'm not putting my money in there.
Sure.
Same thing. The number of homicides are looking at nowhere near the numbers that the city experienced 30 or 40 years ago. But when the number of homicides in Chicago surpassed the number of homicides in New York and Los Angeles, that is when people became alarmed, he said. That is a statistic that people can appreciate and understand.
Well,
so it goes to that whole, well, at least we're not as bad as New York. At least we're not as bad as L.A.
And thank God we're not falling under St. Louis.
Yeah, but now they're even worse. And it's just like, holy shit, things are kind of bad down there, aren't they?
Yeah, no shit.
They're worse than L.A. They're worse than New York.
Yeah, they're just worse.
What the hell's going on over there? Experts do not put down the reason for the uptick in violence to one factor. One particular explanation was that there were record high temperatures over the first quarter of this year.
That's what it is. It's the weather.
It's the weather. The weather was too nice. People had to do something, so they had to get out there and shoot their neighbor.
Oh, thank God the weather was crappy here, so I didn't kill anybody.
Right.
Jesus.
It's a good thing the snow was on the ground. Otherwise, I would have been shooting up the neighborhood.
I would have been murdering people left and right, but thank God we had some snow.
Yeah, so there you go. The high temperatures over the first quarter of this year were to blame.
Thank God.
That global warming, that's a bitch.
Yeah, that fucking makes you want to kill somebody.
Right.
Legitimately.
Temperatures are also running high in the community relations, especially since October 2014 when 17-year-old black teenager Laquan McDonald was shot in the back 16 times by a white police officer. This was compounded by the delay in releasing the video footage of the incident, which almost brought down Mayor Rahm-Emanuel's former Obama's chief of staff. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how they delayed the release of that video until after the election.
Right. Well, all right, I'm going to go with, for the sake of argument, I'm going to go ahead and say that shooting was the cops' fault.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's no doubt about that.
Okay. Well,
but that still reflects the administration, though.
It doesn't waive the other 869 shootings this year.
True.
It doesn't waive that.
No.
Still 869 other idiots. You don't get to put all your eggs in one basket and say, "Oh, the cops are fucking bad," when there's 9 people being shot a day, and the cops got to go deal with that.
Right.
Yeah. Every once in a while, they're going to get frustrated with fucking chasing down people throwing bullets at them. Stupid.
Since the McDonald incident, police conduct has been affected. In the first 3 months of 2015, Chicago's police officers stopped and searched 157,346 people for suspicious behavior.
Wow.
This year, that number has dropped to 20,908. So it went from 157,346 stop and searches just down to 20,000.
Yeah, because they don't want to fuck with it anymore.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to fuck with it, and they don't want to be accused of being racist.
Well, they don't want to be accused of that, and they don't want to get shot.
Right, but yet now the shooting incidences have skyrocketed to almost double.
Right.
So either you stop and frisk people and run the risk of you're racist to not frisking anybody or checking anybody out to doubling your murder rate.
Right.
So which is it?
I say just double your murder rate.
I do too. Because being called a name.
Yeah, that's worse.
That's worse.
Mm-hmm.
This is attributed to the drop in morale and the reluctance to stop and search for fear of becoming the next YouTube that goes viral.
Right.
Look at that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, pal.
Right.
If you hadn't stopped him, he could have gone to the next block and shot somebody.
That's right.
You racist.
Yeah.
Also, the passing of the law influenced by the American Civil Liberties Union to combat racial profiling now requires the police to fill out up to 60 pages of forms for each stop.
Jesus Christ.
The guy just sits there at the desk all day.
So you make one stop in the morning and then you're filling out paperwork for the rest of the fucking day.
Pretty much it.
Fuck that.
Ligurio said there was a strong association that less police had created a vacuum of power which gang members are filling. You think?
Wow, stunning. That's shocking. How could that happen?
There has been a breakdown, the worst in the city's history, in relationship between the police and the minority communities, he said. It has always been a precarious relationship, but it has never been worse than it is now.
Never.
Having less of a police presence has emboldened the gang members to engage in more criminal and violent activities. What? Nobody's watching us? I'll just do what I can do and try to get away with it.
I can't believe that, given the fact that nobody's watching them, they don't just behave to be responsible.
Yeah, nobody just self-polices anymore.
How can that be?
Right.
They should clearly be taking care of it themselves.
Sure. The negative image of the city, however, is based on 5 of the 25 police districts, and the Chicago murder rate is only a third of that of St. Louis, Detroit, and New Orleans. Thank God for that.
No kidding.
At least we're not New Orleans.
Yeah, no shit.
Many say the new nickname of the city is Chirac.
Chirac, I like that.
Which reinforces Chicago and Iraq by the title of the film acclaimed by director Spike Lee. It's unfair, man.
Yeah, pal.
Natalie Moore is a journalist whose book, The South Side, A Portrait of Chicago and American Segregation, has a chapter titled, We Are Not Chirac. She told IB Times UK, I think the term Chirac is racist. Of course it is.
Racist.
It's racist.
Everything's racist.
Everything's racist. It militarizes our neighborhood. I think it's a very skewed way of looking at the violence, and it promotes the trope of black on black violence. So how is it that Chirac, the term Chirac, promotes the trope of black on black violence?
How about it should be promoted, because that is what the violence is.
Yeah, but the thing is we got to pretend that that's not happening.
No, we don't. We don't. That's why we're so fucked up. Call it out for what it is.
But then that would be racist if you called it out for what it is.
Yeah, guess what? If a race is doing something, then call them out for it.
Right.
Any race. If any race is doing something fucking stupid, call them out for it.
Well, you're just being mean.
I'm mean then. I'm a bigot. I'm a racist. I'm an asshole. Whatever. Pick a word. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Just fix your goddamn neighborhood.
Right.
In Chirac, which I'm going to start using left and right now.
Gun violence has always been a problem going back to the Al Capone era, but focusing on numbers can be harmful.
Focusing on numbers. How about focusing on fucking shootings?
Well, there's a number of shootings.
This is the dumbest person of all time.
Of course.
How can you say that you shouldn't focus on this as a problem and fix it? How do you address this problem if you can't call it a problem on any level?
We don't want to single anybody out.
What is her solution? You can't say it's black on black crime. You can't say it's Chirac. You can't say that you want to focus on the rising numbers. The fuck? So there's no problem?
No.
It's good?
No accountability. None.
It's all good then?
Yeah, it's all good.
Shit. I don't know how you stay there now.
The focus for Emmanuel is policing. He surprised many when he ignored the city's police board recommendations and selected Eddie Johnson as his top cop. As the new interim police superintendent with the respected standing among the city's black community, Johnson told Police Tribune gang conflicts fueled the violence, but the culprits were only a small segment of the population. Well, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
It's not usually the mass that's doing the problem. It's usually a handful.
It's 1 or 2 for every 100.
Yeah. Isn't that the old saying that your parents taught you? It only takes one bad apple to ruin the whole barrel.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That goes just back to that.
I know. By using the term barrel, I think you're being racist. You know, I'm thinking that's against Italian there, because of the Italians used to bootleg wine and liquor, and they used barrels to do it. So you're anti-Italian.
Yeah, probably.
Can you use another term?
I would say policing is one of the mayor's biggest challenges, Moore said. Sometimes the mayor and the police get too much credit when things are going well and too much blame when things are going south. Police don't prevent crime, they solve them. They are supposed to be a resource. Yes, they prevent what kind of a statement is that? Police prevent crime. Yes. Their presence usually deters people from acting out, so that is a prevention.
Yeah, when you put a guard in a bank, it's to make people think twice about robbing it.
Yeah, exactly. So would that be a preventative measure?
It's a preventative measure.
Of course.
You don't put them in there so that when it's robbed, that there's somebody there to solve the problem.
What a dumb statement.
Stupid.
Worried about how gun offenders were getting younger, Johnson will reach out to the community leaders. Who are the community leaders?
All right, let's not use terms like community leaders, because that translates to a racist statement. That could be, that's white words for black. Community leader, I know what you mean.
Well, who is it? Who is it?
You know what you mean.
I don't know what that means.
You mean niggers.
Well, who's the leader of the niggers then?
He lives in a surprisingly white house,
I guess. He also wants to make police stops smarter, telling the Tribune that at the same time they had to engage the bad guy because we took an oath to protect the citizens of Chicago, and we have to be professional, respectful, and fair. And as long as we do that, the public will regain trust in us. But the image of the city is said to be driving people away. An analysis of the World Wealth found that there was an outflow of, get this, drum roll please, 3,000 millionaires from the city in 2015 were driven out by rising racial tensions and rising crime levels.
Wow.
3,000 millionaires left the city in 2015.
$3 billion gone.
Though Google has set up a headquarters there, which is expected to be a boost. Yeah, just an internet company's got to replace that.
One company.
Moore said in Chicago, there is a shrieking middle class. You have a rich population has gotten bigger and a population of poor people that has gotten bigger, and the middle class is being squeezed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're in that middle class, right?
Yeah.
You're in that middle class, and you're looking to leave?
Yeah.
For this reason?
Yeah.
You're not looking to leave because Chicago's a bad city. You're looking to leave because it's a fucking scary city.
It is.
I don't blame you.
Chicago is a fascinating city, she said. It is diverse. It is third white, a third black, and a third Latino. And we do have wealth, and we do have poverty, and we do have a diverse economy. In some post-industrial cities, you don't see that.
Right.
So there you go. That's Chicago, or Chirac.
Chirac, man.
Yeah. So in 1 year, 3,000 millionaires left the city.
Wow. That's a bunch.
They said, fuck that. We're out of here. Not investing my money in here.
Yeah. Why would you?
Not anymore, pal. Taking my money and going somewhere more profitable.
Bye-bye.
You be racist and shit taking your money out of here.
Yeah. You should leave it there. Shouldn't be allowed to take it out of there.
Yeah.
Because people are murdering each other.
Right.
You should have to stay. I think if you owned property, you'd have to rent it to these murderers.
Sure.
Dumbest fucking country ever. Unbelievable.
Well, again, it's this futile effort to quote unquote even the playing field.
Yeah.
So basically, the answer or the wisdom there is that no matter how bad you fuck up, we're still going to take care of your ass.
Right. That's
end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So